Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Tea with Kimberly. This is part of the Midlife series, and I want to talk about maintaining a positive mindset. Not easy. All right, so please grab a cup of tea, journal, and pen, and let me just talk you through some ideas on how we can maintain a positive mindset when it's not always easy, right? And let's be honest, it's not. There are lots of things that are challenging about midlife, and there's also some things that are pretty magical. So, as we think about maintaining a positive mindset, despite the fact that there are many, many changes happening, I'm going to give you a few ideas. So, number one is shifting your perspective. So, what I have here is reframing midlife changes as opportunities, right? And then also focusing on what you can gain. So, rather than what we leave behind. So, you know, oftentimes when there's change, it can just be, it's so discombobulating. And it's also really important if we're able to look ahead at where we are going and what this change may represent. It could be you're leaving a relationship, you are leaving a job you've had for a long time, you're leaving a city that you've called home. So there's many, many changes. But how can we shift this perspective of loss or negative to a place of opportunity or the ability to grow, the ability to shift? And again, this is not easy, and I'm not trying to be Pollyanna about this. It's more about just thinking for yourself what helps you come to a place of framing it in a way that really works for you versus keeps you down, right? And so thinking about and as we think about kind of reframing midlife changes really in general, because there is something kind of magical. Okay, yeah, maybe we don't have the energy we once had. Totally get it. Or maybe like hips hurt. And yet, I do feel like there's so much wisdom that comes with midlife. I mean, we've lived a lot of life, and there's also a sense of like things not being as big of a deal. At least I notice that, and I hear from others that they notice that. So for you, what would allow you to kind of shift to seeing? And again, keep in mind we are evolutionarily wired to see what is wrong. So me asking you to pay attention to what is right is not easy. And yet it makes a big difference overall. So, thinking about for you, how can we look at these changes and see possibilities and opportunities? Again, not with everything. I know that's not possible and it wouldn't make sense. But with some of the things that come along with midlife, would that be helpful for you? Just a slight reframing, a slight looking at things differently. And again, that negativity bias of noticing the threats in the environment, noticing what's wrong, that is how we're evolutionarily wired, right? Thanks to neuroscience, we've learned this. And so we have to help ourselves refocus and look at things from different perspectives. The second thing, which is really important, and I've heard from people that this is like one of the biggest game-changing practices that they have incorporated into their life, and it is practicing gratitude. So, gratitude obviously is like noticing what is good, what's going well. And so, one of the journaling questions that I always give the coterie every month in the monthly master classes is thinking about like we look at, okay, what is going well so far this year? Because we're going to be like, I haven't done this, I haven't done this, I'm missing this. It's like, no, no, no. Let's start by looking at what's going well. And so for you, that can be a practice in gratitude of what was some wonderful thing that happened to me today, something I tasted that was just amazing, or I saw, or I thought about, or I read, or I listened to. And so, how can we cultivate this sense of gratitude to help offset that negativity bias? So, I have here, of course, the idea of keeping a gratitude journal. Some people, do this regularly. Others, you can just write down in your planner something like comes to mind or in your journal. Like, this is what I'm grateful for today, or this week, or this month. This is what went well. And then the last thing I really want to mention is we think about maintaining and cultivating a positive mindset with regard to all the changes in midlife is staying physically active and eating well and staying hydrated. I mean, look at the size. This water container, right? So staying hydrated and good sleep. So I give you all those, right? You know this. Good sleep, so, so critical. Staying hydrated, drinking lots and lots of water, and lots of tea. You may be a coffee person. Of course, that's great too. And then eating well, plant-based, whole foods, whatever works for you or whatever your diet is, but just making sure that you're getting a lot of that yumminess from the farmer's market or from your grocery store that are whole foods and not processed. So, so important. And it really makes a difference. Like I notice whenever I've had my pea shoots and my little cherry tomatoes and maybe some blueberries or blackberries, whatever's in season, some sliced peaches, it just like feels so yummy. It really elevates my mood even. And then the other thing, of course, that goes along with this is physical activity. So keeping active, and I know it can be hard because when things hurt, we don't want to be active. It's funny because the day after my latest hip surgery, I was supposed to be resting. I was resting, but I'd rested all day and I was just bored. I was tired of resting. It was like dark. And I just like, and so I'm walking around the living room in circles with my cane, like just in circles. My partner was like, "You're supposed to be resting. If I was told to rest, I would so be in bed." And I was like, "I know, but I'm done with bed." And so just like circles, right? So even staying active, day after surgery, but just because like I was going a little stir crazy. But it's so important, even when things hurt, to keep them moving, right? Of course, like take your doctor's advice. But I have found that to be really, really important for me. And so, although I may not be able to do everything right now, it's like getting regular walks, getting out and about, and soaking up nature and seeing the world around me and being part of it. And of course, there's biking, I mean, all sorts of different things that people do to stay physically active, but also just gentle stretching. So finding things that feel really good to you, keep you active, keep you engaged. And hopefully these help with cultivating a positive mindset. Because when we feel better, of course, we can show up better in our lives and in the lives of others. So thanks so much for tuning in to this series on midlife.